Hello, everybody. My name is Deb Coviello. I am the founder of Illumination Partners and the Drop-In CEO brand, and I'm excited to bring to you a very special person to me, Amanda Lund, who is the founder of AJ Lund Brand Storytelling, and she is one of my trusted guides. And I can't wait to bring this conversation to you. Amanda, welcome to the conversation.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to chat today.
Yeah, so you are a bundle of energy, inspiration. You make me feel good every time we get together, but you've also really helped me hone my messages. And today we want to talk about the difference between meaning and message. And you've taught me a lot about this. So I really would like to know your insights. When we think about our verbal or written communications, what can you really share with the audience? Is it the difference between the two, and why is it so important?
I love that you are bringing this to the forefront of like the leadership audience, just because there is such a disconnect between what we say and then what we actually mean. And a lot of times we find that in the marketing spectrum of we think that our core product isn't selling, or we're not booking clients, or we're not doing the business we think we should be because our messaging is wrong. And a lot of times that can be true, but then we try to paste somebody else's message onto our product, and then we don't get the results we want, and we wonder where we went wrong. And the truth is that we tend to have this idea of like, if we just hypnotize people with the right words, with like buzzwords of like, you know, like performance and success and like hyper acuity and things like that. And we tend to think that if we just use those words, it's going to hypnotize people to be like, oh yes, absolutely, she's the expert. But what we really need to do is, instead of being a hypnotist, we need to be like a Pied Piper, and we need to grab the attention and then lead the way with our actions. And so when I work with my clients, that's really what we focus on, is creating that core attention grabbing message, and then demonstrate how we're leading the way and changing the way people think about business.
You know, that's really great insight. And just so you know, we have a thumbs up from one of our viewers. So thank you
Yay!
for that. And you know, what you say is really important, and the impact it's actually had on me. Again, I have a lot of thoughts, thought leadership, things I want to share with the world. But, you know, there was a point in time where I was simply hoping people would follow me. And there's a difference when you change what I say and actually my intention and the meaning and the connection that I want to make with people. I go from a place of hoping people will follow me or want to connect with me to a place where we inspire action and get the results that we actually want. So just thank you for that lesson. And I know a lot of people can learn so much from you.
Oh, I see Marlo is out in the audience. Hi, Marlo. How you doing?
Oh, so exciting, so exciting. She's a great human. So I would love to just ask you a little bit more, because you've been serving people for so many years, but I would really love a little bit of an example about how you have been able to work with some of your clients or people and change their impact, and whether it's their written words or their actual verbal words. How have you been able to help somebody through that?
I think one of the biggest transformations I made was when one of my very first clients, he actually has a physical product. It's a software that he's developed for wedding planners. And when I first started, the language was very technical, and it was focused on, he kind of had two camps. So love and celebration is like an essential part of wedding planning, right? And then you have like the technical aspect of his software, and he's designing timelines. And so what we did was, he was marketing all about love on Instagram, and then he was trying to talk to people one-on-one about all these technical aspects. And the way that we created the biggest impact was by leading the way and showing how celebrations and technology can combine to increase your productivity. And like, when your passion fuels your productivity, and you can do that with technology and combine all those elements, you really make a bigger impact in your community and in the celebrations that you're orchestrating. So we kind of combined the two elements that he knew were important, and we figured out how to craft that message that made it all into one kind of statement that empowered his users to, go and do their thing. So yeah.
I love that story. And one of the things that, and people just don't, they need to know about this is you're an amazing connector. And what you do is you're really, really good at connecting the dots. And just one example about how our time together, where you've helped me, is, I put out the podcast, the Drop In CEO podcast. It's great content, resonates with a lot of people. But you said, Deb, there's a little bit more about you that people don't know. They see your thought leadership and how you bring it out in everybody else. I said, but you also got this great personal side, and your stories are really deep, and you need to share a little bit more of that. And so, taking the connection between adding a preamble to my podcast to explain a personal story and why it's important to me, this conversation, and why it's important for people to listen, bringing together the connection of my personal nature and the professional and the thought leadership nature has really changed the messaging, drawn people in, and people are starting to respond differently to the podcast product. So another thing, you are an amazing connector. Connection is so important to messaging.
Well, and that's huge too. Vulnerability is the one thing that I find is the biggest obstacle for people to get to that next level of messaging. And it's because we have these faces that we wear in business, and we feel like we have to kind of put our expertise at the forefront in order to validate ourselves in our markets, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't want to like bring all the personal stuff to the forefront because we don't see why it's important to the customer. We think that all the customer needs to know is like our resume, basically, our accomplishments, our accolades. And what happens when we only present our accolades is that we are kind of like sitting on a shelf with 100 other, like if we're an all-purpose cleaner, okay? And you go down the cleaning aisle and there's about 20 different all-purpose cleaners that you can use to clean your house. But for me, I use the same cleaner that my mom did because my mom said, this is the best cleaner. It gets all of the stains out that you need from the countertops. I don't know. I have kids. I have lots of spills. So I use the same cleaner that my mom did because she said it's the best, and I believe her. And it's one of those things that when we bring our personal side and we bring like our stories to the forefront, then we're able to connect with people on a different level. And if we say, I'm an all-purpose cleaner that is specifically for busy moms that don't have time to be scrubbing at the countertops. Well, I'm a busy mom that I don't have time to scrub at countertops. That's the product I'm going to use. And so had I not known that about this product, then I may not have used that. And it's that there's a reason for vulnerability, but it's also like a fine line you have to tread. And so it's one of those things that you have to decide what's valuable to your customer and what are you putting out there just for vulnerability's sake.
Such a strong message. And what I pick up from that, and this has been a real big mindset shift, and we're going to also share hopefully some great tips for people who are listening and watching this, is that we used to think it was a sign of weakness. And I think you mentioned that when we show up vulnerable or we share a little bit of the personal side. But I would propose that we shift our mindset, that vulnerability and taking action on that and taking courage on that is a new superpower. It's what we do with that vulnerability, that what we perceive as a weakness. It's revealing who you are inside. And then how do you not only connect your product and service with the people functionally, but emotionally to give them that peace of mind. So amazing insight. But I would love, not everybody is using your services or my services, but I want to make sure that I give great value out of that. When we think about people, whether they're an emerging leader, an entrepreneur, or even a CEO, what are some actions that they can take to have greater impact with their messaging?
So I have three things that you can do today to help move yourself forward in the messaging space. First of all, you need to identify 3 core stories that really tell who you are and why you do what you do. So it needs to be, I say 3, because the first one and the last one are probably going to be fluff. And the middle one that you come up with is going to be the real reason why you do what you do. So come up with 3 and use and switch them around. Talk to different people. And so the first thing is to come up with 3. The second is to tell them to someone else and have them tell them back to you. Because when you have someone repeat the story they just told you, you're going to hear what resonates, and then you're going to figure out what doesn't stick when you're telling the story. And then the third thing is to just show up and practice those stories over and over and over again until they feel like breathing. And you'll notice professional speakers, TEDx speakers, they have this meter to their voice when they tell their story. And you can really tell when someone has mastered the ability to communicate their why, communicate their core message. And it's something that I bring up with my clients all the time, just because you can use it not just on the stage, but when you're trying to connect with people one-on-one, when you're trying to be a podcast guest, when you're trying to create your blogs and your website copy. The more you practice your story and the more you're able to just kind of breathe it in and out, the easier it is for people to get on board. So, yeah.
Amazing. And so, for everybody that's watching this, that's our gift to you. Something you can do now, reflecting forward into 2021, that you can action on and change or improve what you already have is great meaning, and change it to an impactful message. So, Amanda, I just want to thank you for coming on today. If people wanted to learn more about the work that you do, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, they can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can go to my website at www.ajlund.com.
All right. I wish you continued success. Thank you so much for your time. I know people are going to find this very, very valuable. And shout out to Marlo for joining us. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.